Okay. All right. Welcome to Trademarks 101, Learn the Basics, and let's get started. I'm Cheryl, a patent and trademark librarian who's a library coordinator in the Business Resource and Innovation Center, or BRIC, at the Free Library of Philadelphia. I'm also the Philadelphia Patent and Trademark Resource Center representative at the library and a former fellow at the United States Patent and Trademark Office, or USPTO. I'm joined by my co-host, business librarian, Julie. Thank you, Julie. If you have questions, please put them in the chat and we'll stop periodically to answer them. We are recording this presentation and we'll be sending the recording and the slides to you following the presentation. As I mentioned in the last slide, the Free Library of Philadelphia is a PTRC, a Patent and Trademark Resource Center. What is that? We're one of 83 libraries in the US and its territories designated by the United States Patent and Trademark Office, or USPTO, in Alexandria, Virginia, as a resource for patent and trademark information for the public. The Free Library of Philadelphia has been a PTRC since 1986. Here's a picture of our beautiful new brick space on the ground floor of the Parkway Central Library at 1901 Vine Street, where the PTRC and other BRIC services are located. The PTRC's main focus is on patent and trademark information, but we also include learning resources for copyrights and trade secrets. We provide information, but not legal advice, since we're librarians and not attorneys. The PTRC also has services for nonprofits, job seekers, and of course, businesses. Please check us out. We're going to talk about intellectual property, or IP as it's known. We have a lot of acronyms. Patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets are all intellectual property, or IP, which are protections for what you invent or create. The type of IP you use depends on what you create. We'll do a brief review on what the four types of IP do. Patents protect your inventions. Trademarks protect your business brand. That is your brand name, logo, or slogan, or combination of that. Copyrights protect your artistic creations like songs, poems, books, blogs, photos, paintings, or movies. Trade secrets protect your business secrets like your secret sauce recipe, customer lists, production methods, and inventions. Okay, today we're going to focus on trademarks, the second type of intellectual property, which protects your brand. That means your brand name or logo or slogan that identifies your business. Here are 7 different examples of trademarks. We have the term Rolex, which is a trademark for a watch company. We have the bullseye, which is a trademark for Target. Then Starbucks with the word Starbucks coffee and the mermaid in the middle. And the slogan, "You're in good hands," which is a slogan for Allstate Insurance Company. We also have Harley Davidson and Netflix. Some trademarks are words only, some have no words, and sometimes they're both. All are trademarks. Okay. Definition of a trademark. Trademark is generally a word, phrase, symbol, or design, or a combination of those that identifies and distinguishes the source of goods and services of one party from those of the others. There are also some unusual trademarks like sound or scent trademarks, like the one recently registered for the distinctive smell of Play-Doh. The most common reason for a trademark to be refused is likelihood of confusion. A likelihood of confusion exists both when the trademarks are similar, and number 2, the goods and services of the parties are related, such that consumers would mistakenly believe they come from the same source. I'll explain more about this in a bit. So trademarks protect you as a business, but they also protect customers. Okay. There are 3 types of trademarks from different sources with different coverages. There's common law trademarks, state trademarks, federal trademarks. They can be renewed, unlike patents. Do you have to get a trademark for your goods and services? No, it's strictly up to you. As we mentioned in the last slide, the first type of copyright is the common law the first type of trademark is the common law trademark. A common law trademark is a do-it-yourselfer and is available immediately. You just start using it. It's cheap and easy. There are some pros and cons to it, and this slide shows them more specifically. The pros, like I just mentioned, are it's cheap, easy, free, and do-it-yourself. The cons are, with a common law trademark, you could be infringing on someone else's trademark without knowing it. And they could send you a cease and desist letter and tell you you must stop using it immediately. As a result, you might have to rebrand your company, which would cost you money. And it's possible that the owner of the registered trademark might also ask you for money damages. Even if that doesn't happen, your business could get stuck staying small with a common law trademark. Say, for example, you were selling in a small geographic area and someone else gets a similar trademark for related goods and services on the federal level, which gives them protection throughout the US and its territories. Even if you were using your common law trademark first, you might get stuck staying in your small geographic area and not being able to expand. As you can see with a little TM right here in the upper right corner of the trademark, that means you're claiming trademark rights, and you can use that if you're using a common law trademark. The second type of trademark is a state trademark, where you get protection at the state level. This is available in all 50 states. You can see the hyperlink where you can, right here, where you can locate the agency that registers trademarks in your state. State trademarks are generally cheaper than federal trademarks, but not as powerful. The cost varies anywhere from $10 to $50, and they can last anywhere from 5 to 10 years. Please note, the state trademark may not cover, give you a protection in the entire state in a federal trademark dispute. You can also use a little TM like this on your state registered trademark. And you can see they put it at various places. It's up to you. You can put it like on the upper right. You can put it in the middle or down, hanging kind of low. It's up to you. But the TM shows that you don't have federal trademark protection, but you are claiming trademark rights. Do we have any questions so far? No? Okay, I'll keep going. Okay, here's the federal trademark, the most powerful type of trademark. It's good in the US and its territories. What are our territories? It's like Puerto Rico, Guam, things like that. It lasts 10 years and can be renewed, as can the other types of trademarks. So all trademarks can be renewed. You can see here that there's an R in the circle that you can use when granted a federal trademark. So the R in the circle means federal trademark, and you can only use it when you have the federal trademark. If you're state or common law, you can use the TM. The cost starts at $250, and it's based on what you're selling. If you're selling goods and services in 2 different classes, it would be $250 times 2. You can get the lower $250 costs as opposed to the $350 if you fulfill certain requirements, such as paying the trademark fees up front, filling out the application form completely, agreeing to correspond via email, and using an existing class of goods and services. If you don't want to do that and you want to correspond by snail mail, you would pay the higher rate. An example of 2 different classes of goods and services, or say a beauty salon where the service they're selling is doing hair. And if they have a hair care line that they want to use the trademark for, that would be a good. So they would have to pay either $250 times 2 or $350 times 2. So based on the class of goods and services that you're selling. To get a federal trademark, you must be using your trademark in commerce or have an intent to use it in commerce. Use in commerce means selling or shipping your product or service across state lines. You must also provide a specimen of your use of the trademark, such as a picture of your product or a link to a working website where you're selling your goods and services. If you're not yet using your trademark in commerce, you can file on an intent to use basis, which is good for up to 3 years, but it will cost you more. It'll generally take you, takes about 9 to 12 months to receive your federal trademark. And about 70% of applications are granted registered federal trademarks. Here's a really helpful brochure about federal trademarks. I would really suggest reading it if you want to get a federal trademark. Let me click on this and hopefully you can see inside. We used to have this in print, but now it's only available online, which is good because then they can make changes immediately. So there's a lot of good examples, questions, illustrations, examples of various trademarks. So I would really recommend taking a look at this if you're interested in a federal trademark. The USPTO also has some really amazing videos that help if you're interested in a trademark, especially federal trademarks. There are 3 different sets of videos that you can see that really talk about basic trademarks and then really get into the nuts and bolts of every part of the application to walk you through it and help you complete your application. Okay, remember when I said that likelihood of confusion was the most common reason for a trademark application to be refused? Before you apply for your trademark, it's a good idea to search for existing trademarks because unfortunately, you will not get a refund if the USPTO does not register your trademark. So you'll look for existing trademarks that are similar in SAM, sound, appearance, and meaning, and also related goods and services. So it's a 2-part test, similar in sound, appearance, and meaning, and related goods and services. Right here, T-marky and T-marky are spelled very differently, but they sound the same, T-marky, T-marky. So if T-marky was a registered trademark for selling hats, and T-marky came along and wanted to get a trademark for selling shirts and pants, because they're sound the same and the goods and services are related, T-marky probably would not get a registration for their trademark. And related goods and services, the easiest way to think about it are things that are sold in the same places. So if you go into a clothing store, they're probably going to be selling hats and shirts and pants. So they're related goods and services. Now down here under appearance, T-marky and T-markly, this one has an L, but when you glance at them, they look the same. And if T-marky was selling banking services and T-markly wanted to register for mortgage lending services because these are related goods and services and they're similar in appearance, T-markly probably would not get the registration. You also have to think about meaning. Gatto and Cat. Gatto registered to sell t-shirts and pants, and Cat comes along to sell an online retail store selling clothing. Because Gatto means cat in Spanish, the cat would probably be refused registration. So you have to think about sound, appearance, and meaning and related goods and services when you're doing your trademark search. Okay, on the other hand, the exact same trademark can coexist with another trademark if the goods and services are different. So here's an example using the federal trademark Fusion. Because the goods and services are so different, these federal trademarks for Fusion can coexist. The Ford Fusion automobile, the Fusion underwater vehicle, and the Fusion internet connectivity company have such different goods and services and unlikely to cause confusion. They can coexist and all have federal trademark protection, even though it's the exact same word spelled exactly the same. Okay. Do we have any questions, Julie?
Not at the moment.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm going to keep going. Okay, there are 2 prices for federal trademarks, and there's also 2 different federal application forms for trademarks. There's the standard and the special form applications. The standard application is used when your trademark is only word, letters, or numbers. This can give you broader protection than the special form application. Once you get your standard trademark, you can add logos and colors to your trademark. The special form application, you have to use if your trademark includes a design or logo alone or with wording, or if a particular style of coloring or lettering is important. But once you marry all these together for your trademark, then you're stuck with it. Whereas the standard trademark, Sony, if they wanted to, they could make this red, they could put it in a different script, they could add a picture if they want. But these other ones, Netflix in the red with a capital and the slight curve on the bottom, Starbucks, you're stuck with that. So the standard form mark gives you more flexibility, but if you're you want a particular color or it's a logo alone with no words, then you do a special form mark. It's easier to get a trademark if your trademark is distinctive. The USPTO Principal Trademark Register, which is over here, offers the most trademark protections. Trademarks on the Principal Register are distinctive, meaning they're made up names, or arbitrary, meaning the original meaning of the word has little to do with the product, like Apple for computers. And suggestive means suggesting something about the product, such as ever-ready batteries, meaning the battery will always be ready when you need it when the power goes out. If your trademark is generic, it says exactly what it is. And if it's merely descriptive, including surnames and geographic names, your trademark could be refused registration or be put on the supplemental register with less rights. Trademarks that were originally on the supplemental register in the past, like McDonald's and Honey Baked Ham, can acquire distinctiveness through time, usually about 5 years, and go on the principal register with all available trademark rights. So that's what happened with McDonald's. Because it's merely a surname, it's just somebody's last name, they were on the supplemental register, and then after 5 years, they applied to be on the principal register, where they are now. The same with Honey Baked Ham, because it says exactly what it is, Honey Baked Ham. They also were able to describe, get distinctiveness and move over to the principal register. So over here that are generic that you can't even get registered either on the supplemental or the principal, like apples. So if you're selling apples and you want to be called the Apple Shop, that you would be refused registration. Also, you have to police your own trademark. So this surprised me when I first started doing this. I would think if you go to the time and pay the money and the trouble to get a registered trademark, that someone would police it for you. That means be on the lookout for people who are infringing. Unfortunately, you have to do that yourself. And if you don't, your trademark could become generic and just fall into the common usage. So that's what happened with aspirin. It used to be a federal trademark, but now everyone calls that little white pill for headaches aspirin. So it's lost distinctiveness and it's in generic and lost trademark rights. Also elevator, that thing that lifts you from floor to floor, that used to be a federal trademark that wasn't policed and became generic, and now in the US everyone calls it an elevator. Okay, this is a screenshot of the USPTO landing page. And this is where you'll search for existing trademarks, apply for your federal trademark, and learn about the process. If you hover over the Find It Fast menu here, you'll find additional resources. So if you hover over this, and this is a screenshot, so it's not going to do that, you're going to have this. The blue arrows point to the 3 areas to start your trademark search. The top one points to TESS, which is where you'll search for existing trademarks. TESS is an acronym for Trademark Electronic Search System. Below that is TEAS, where you're going to file for your federal trademark application. And the lowest area is where we're going to start first. It's the ID manual. The ID manual can help you determine what goods or services your product or service is. Okay, here's a screenshot of the ID manual where you're going to type some words to describe your goods and services that you're going to be selling. For example, pretend I'm going to stop being a librarian and become a winemaker. And say I'd like to call my wine brand Cabana, C-A-B-A-N-A, and use a palm tree logo in combination with the word Cabana for my wine trademark. So here I've typed in wine in for my goods. So when you click on this and open it up, choose some words to describe your goods or services, okay? You might have to try different things because things, you might call it something, but someone else might call it something else. Like in the Midwest, they call what we call soda pop. So, you know, someone might type in pop and find out that the USPTO calls it a soft drink, okay? All right, after I type in wine, I press enter and I have this list. Fortunately, wine is at the top of the list and you can see that it's highlighted. So it's gonna highlight all the wine and all these various goods that have wine in it. So mine's at the top, wine, and it's class 33. And if I hover over that, I'll see what it is. It's class 33 is for wine and spirits, meaning alcoholic beverages except beer, and also alcoholic preparations for making beverages. Say if I also wanted to sell wine spritzers, where is it? Right here. I could do that without having to pay extra money because that's also under class 33. If I say I want to sell wine decanters, which is down here, I see that it's a different class than wine. It's class 02121. So I would have to pay an additional fee for an additional class of goods and services. So if I wanted to sell wine and wine spritzers, they're both class 33. But if I also want to sell wine decanters with my trademark on it, that would be an extra fee. And I would have to pay another $250 or $350 to apply for that. Okay, so next you're going to go to tests, and it's going to land you here. So test was at the top of the drop-down menu. And there's three options for searching. There's the basic word mark search, the word or design mark search structured, or the free form. So I would start here. This is a good place to start to get you started. And you can pretty much do all of what you need to do except for design search, and we would come back and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so I'm going to click on the basic search, and first I'm going to put in Cabana exactly how I want to spell it and press enter. And you're going to see that I have a lot of choices. I have 506 records on this that's going to go over several pages. So you're going to see on the left, everything has a serial number. If you have a serial number, that means that you filed all the preliminary documents required. And you either have a trademark, a registered trademark, or it's in process, or it might be dead, okay? But you have to look at all of them because all of these, and they're in chronological order in reverse, so the newest ones are here. So you'll need to look at all of these. If it has a registration number, that means it actually is a registered trademark. And if you look over here, it says live or dead. Dead means it's no longer active. If you want to use a dead trademark, you're technically probably going to be able to get it, but you should be aware that what happens a lot is people, they're in business and their trademark comes up for renewal and they have to pay money and send, a specimen of use, and they're busy and they don't want to take the time. Or they just missed the deadline, it could go dead, but they could still be using it. So they would have common law trademark rights and you may not be able to go into their territory. So say somebody let their trademark go dead, but they're still using it in Boise, Idaho. You might say, okay, well, I might not be able to go into Boise. That's not such a big deal. But if they have let their trademark go dead and they're still using it in the western half of the United States, you wouldn't be able to go into their territory and you may want to reconsider. So do we have some questions? Let me take a look here.
Yep, Sienna asked a question. What if it's a service and not goods?
It doesn't matter whether it's a service or good, it's more related goods and services. Okay, so you would have to take a look and see what they're selling, whether it is a good or a service, and see if it's related. Okay, so I would just take a look and see if it's a related goods and service. If it's not, it probably will not affect you, but I would just say related is more important than whether it's a good or a service. Any other questions? Okay.
That's the only one right now.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the next one. Okay. Wait, we have to go back to this one. So remember what I said about sound, appearance, and meaning. So what I probably want to do is check different spellings of my cabana. And cabana, even though it's spelled differently, it sounds exactly the same. So I might want to change it to cabana or cabana. And you'll see that I have a few more records because the last one was 506. Now this one is 512. Okay. But if I really want to do a good job, I might try something like this. So instead of putting a C or a K in there, I put a question mark, and that replaces one character. So that would find things like cabana with a C or a K. It would also look for subana or hubana, things like that. So, and here's one, homa abana. So that might be a good idea to try putting question marks to see what comes up for sound in addition to just my exact spelling. Okay, so that really jumps it up to 785 records. But what really matters are the goods and services. So I want to put in my goods and service of wine. So you put this and you just do wine and wine or whatever your goods and services is with the square brackets for GS. And it really takes it down from 785 to 18, which is much more doable than looking through almost 800 records. Okay, so different spellings of your trademark and your goods and services and see what you have. Okay, now what if you have a logo? And I talked about putting in a palm tree in addition to cabana for my wine. So I'm going to go back to test and click on the design search code manual. And it's going to give you a field to type in what you're looking for. So I'm going to type in palm tree, click on submit query, and I'm going to get something like this. So division 0501 are trees of all different kinds, and then it breaks it down further. This one, 050101, are evergreens or other trees that are triangular or conical shaped. Here's another number for round trees. And then here's mine, 050103, palm trees. Okay, that's what I want. So I'm going to write down that number. And I'm going to put it in combination with the name of it. And here it is, the code. You don't have to put the dots in parentheses, and then DC. And so this is going to look for anything that is spelled Havana and a palm tree. And then I could look through these and see what they are and see if they're alive or dead and what their goods and services are. Okay. So I could combine it even more with my Havana, my wine, goods and services, and my design code, and that takes it down to 2. So by adding more criteria, you get fewer results. If you want more results, you take some criteria away. Okay. I also probably want to look in general in my class 33, because related goods and services aren't just wine, but it could be some other alcoholic beverages or preparations for making alcoholic beverages. So by putting that in, I'm going to look just for Cabana and 33, and I could expand this by trying different spellings, but I'm going to come down here and to this one, Cabana, and this is pretty old because you can see the number is in the 3s, Cabana, and if I click on that, it's going to open up, and I'm going to see that Cabana, it's spelled exactly the same, and their goods and services are not wine, but they're distilled spirits made from sugarcane, and that would be a problem for my wine because, and I know for a fact that this is a problem because other winemakers have tried to use Cabana, and they've been shot down because it's related goods and services with this distilled spirits. So do your goods and services, but also open it up to the class itself and see what's in there, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, so I'm gonna go here and just do like quickly a live shot. So here's trademarks, and I'm gonna go to tests. And I'm going to go to my basic search, and I'm just going to start with my Cabana and do my query. Okay, so 506 records. Let me see, I just want to show you. Let's take a look at this one, Toucan Cabana. Okay. So this is spelled exactly the same, but the goods and services are dresses, footwear, headwear, pants, and shirts. So even though it's spelled exactly the same, that probably isn't going to be a problem because the goods and services are different. So you can look and see what's here. It's on the principal register. It's live. When was the registration date? Like this was just recently that it was registered. You can find information about who registered it. And this is something that you should be aware of, that once you apply for your federal trademark, and even though it hasn't been registered yet, this information is going to be publicly available. So if you don't want to have your address there, you can maybe want to use a post office box, you can do that. Also, once you do this and you're in the works, you're going to start getting solicitations from people where they're say, oh, we'll help you, and want to charge you money for that. Maybe sometimes charging you a lot of money for things you could easily do yourself for free. Some are out and out scams that I've heard of, is that people say you have to send $500 to this post office box in Las Vegas or your trademark application will go dead. So you need to be careful. Any solicitations for money, make sure it doesn't come from anyone other than the USPTO in Alexandria, Virginia, or one of your state trademark registries. So, because you don't want to get taken advantage of. So say you find a registration and you want to learn more about it. So what you can do is you can go over here to TSDR. And this is kind of like the whole story of the trademark. So you can go up here to documents, and you can start at the bottom. It's also in reverse chronological order, and you can look at their application. So you can look and see, like, and it'll show exactly what they put on the application. Okay, so you can take a look at that. Maybe if you're like wondering, what do I put for this? You can look and see what someone else put for theirs. Here's their drawing. What was their drawing? Okay. It was toucan, cabana, and a little bird on it. That was, this is the design. What is this one? Okay, they've assigned some design search codes to cover the bird to describe it. This is the replication of the search that the trademark examiner did. Let me find one that's an office action. let's look at this one, computer cabana. So this one was dead, and let's find out what happened. This is abandoned. So you can go to the TSDR, go here to documents. Okay, office action outgoing. So an office action is when the USPTO has a question or problem about your application. So let's look and see what happened with this one. Summary of issues. Section 2D, refusal, likelihood of confusion, International Class 9, disclaimer. So it tells you that there was a problem. Here is the registered trademark that's already in existence, and the patent or trademark examiner feels that there's a conflict between you and this one. And they give you a time to respond to their problem or question. And if you don't, then your application is abandoned. So if you get an office action, then respond to it within the time period, or it's going to go abandoned. So here's the abandonment, trademark application abandoned, failure to timely respond to office action. Okay, so that's very useful. And when you're searching, you know, you can put anything in. You don't have to be worried like they're not going to be tracking your results, and just like get in there and sort of mess around and get your hands dirty. And it doesn't, you know, and play around so you can kind of understand, you know, how it works. So just jump right in. The water's fine. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about foreign trademarks. Trademarks are territorial and there's no international trademarks. If you want to get foreign trademark protection, you can do it through a cooperative program like the Madrid Protocol program that has over 109 countries that belong to the Madrid Protocol Treaty. There's a little calculator here, so you can calculate how much it's going to cost. Another treaty is the European Union, so it has 27 countries in it, and it makes applying to the EU countries cheaper and easier than applying to them separately. Because of Brexit, you do now have to apply to the UK separately because they're no longer part of the European Union. These treaties provide certain minimums of protection, such as you're going to be treated the same as any citizen of the foreign country. So if a country belongs to the Madrid Protocol, they're like, okay, we won't discriminate against you because you're not a citizen of our country. And they'll also honor each other's filing dates with certain limits. So that filing date means like if you applied in the US on September 1st and like within the year, if you apply to the foreign country through the Madrid Protocol, they'll honor that September 1st filing date. Like if you're 3 years out, they probably wouldn't honor that. But so it's protection. They agree to protect each other. If you're only going to apply to a few countries for a trademark, you can apply to individual countries. There's the Paris Convention that has 177 countries belonging to it. Whoops, sorry. Okay, wait a minute. So one of the specific things they're going to be doing is when you apply for a foreign trademark, is they're going to check and make sure that your trademark doesn't mean anything offensive or untoward in their language. One of the examples that's often used is a US car from Chevrolet with the trademark Nova, N-O-V-A, right here. The Nova was in existence in the 70s and 80s. If you're older, you might remember it. My dad had a Nova. Unfortunately, Nova in Spanish-speaking countries means it doesn't go, which is an unfortunate name for a car. because no one wants a car that doesn't go. Also, another thing to be aware of is that other countries do not require, most of them, use in commerce like in the United States does. This can be a problem because if your product is really successful in the United States, people in a foreign country where use in commerce is not required may register and gain rights over the use of your name that you might be wanting to use. So they could see, oh, look, this product is getting really successful. I'm going to register and hold on to this trademark in my country. And then they're going to have to pay me maybe a lot of money to get the trademark rights. Or you might even have to find a different trademark to use. Also, you might be required to hire a local attorney for foreign trademarks. The US does this now. So if you're from France or China, you used to be able to just file directly with the USPTO, and they found that that was becoming a problem with poorly written applications. So now they require that anyone in a foreign country must use a US attorney. Usually if you talk to a US attorney, they can recommend an attorney in a foreign country that they've worked with. So before we leave this slide, just want to go through this again. There's no international trademark. You can use a cooperative program like the Madrid Protocol or the European Union treaties, or you can file with an individual country like the Paris Convention, and that might be cheaper to apply. If you only want one in Mexico or Canada, it might be cheaper to apply directly with them through the Paris Convention, okay? Another example of the same product but different trademarks in different countries is the Lay's potato chip in the US, but they're called Walker's Crisps in the UK. So it's the exact same potato chip, but they don't call it Lay's, they call it Walker's, and they call them crisps over there instead of potato chips. Does anybody want to guess what this is? Hungry Jack's. This is in Australia. It's actually what we call Burger King, but in Australia it's Hungry Jack's, and I think it's interesting. I guess they call breakfast brekkie for $4.95. This is a fun one too. This is what we call Mr. Clean, but in Germany, it's Meister Proper, which is kind of interesting. But what you call it in the US might not be what you're able to call it in a foreign country, so maybe think ahead about that. Okay, do we have any questions?
Yep, we have one question.
Okay.
What if a word trademark is live? Can I have a similar mark with another font?
I would say probably not. I'm not an attorney and also not an examiner, but I don't know that the same one with a different font is distinctive enough to make it different if the goods and services are similar. So remember, it's similarity in sound, appearance, and meaning, and related goods and services. It's got to be both. So do that test and see sound, appearance, and meaning, and related goods and services. So even like a different font probably wouldn't make it dissimilar in sound, appearance, and meaning. Okay. All right. All right, so here's a map of all the countries that follow the Madrid Protocol. They're in green. So it covers a lot of the world. So this is the Madrid system for international registration of marks. And that's another thing to know is that it's trademarks, or a lot of people call it marks, but it's the same. Okay, so here's the countries that follow the Paris Convention for the protection of IP, and you can see it's even more. So this is going to guarantee you certain minimums when you're applying for an international trademark. Okay, so if you're interested in foreign trademarks, here's some databases to look at: Global Brand Database, Design View, and TM View, where you can search for foreign trademarks to see if somebody's using what you propose to apply for and what it's for. Okay. The next thing I wanted to talk about is business names, trademarks, and domain names. These three are not necessarily the same. They come from different agencies. A business name is registered with a state agency, such as the Pennsylvania Department of State. Trademarks are registered with the state agency or the USPTO. And domain names are registered with an accredited domain name registrar like GoDaddy or domain.com. If you've purchased a domain name, you should check and make sure it's not a registered trademark for another entity. Because even though you're able to purchase it, it doesn't mean that it's might not be in conflict with another entity that has a trademark. Okay, so I talked a little bit about scams, and if you're going to do get help from somebody, you should do a little research on them to make sure that there are not people who've complained about them, and especially requests for money for trademarks is always make sure it's coming from USPTO in Alexandria, Virginia. And they can send you letters or emails and it looks like it's the USPTO, but you should just look and make sure it's coming from uspto.gov, and they're not trying to pull one over on you. All right, what about an attorney for your intellectual property protections? You don't have to have one, but if you want one, you can explore these resources for the Philadelphia area and beyond. On Monday, November 15th, the University of Pennsylvania Law School will be doing Zoom office hours from 4 to 7. You can sign up to be considered for a free 45-minute session with 2 students and their supervising professor. It fills up quickly, so sign up now rather than later if you're interested. And they usually have more people interested than they do have slots. So, early is better than later. So these are some of the resources. You could go to the local bar association to find an attorney. Here's free ones, Philadelphia VIP. The business must be within Philadelphia, and you must have your LLC or be a corporation. If you don't have that, they can help you get that. Here's the University of Pennsylvania Law School. They're coming for office hours on November 15th, but they also every semester take on clients for free to take on as clients. And they usually solicit in August and January of every year. So they're already full for this semester, but in January, they're going to be looking for clients again. Here's some other law school clinics that around the US you can look at. Some, like this one, will only take people from Pennsylvania, but other ones throughout the US don't do that. They're willing to help anyone. So you can look for those and approach them and see if they could represent you if you're looking for free legal help. And like I said, we have office hours at least 4 times a year where you can see someone for free. I mean, you won't be able to cover a lot during your session, but you can ask your important questions. So here's some even more links to things that we talked about today. And I just want to know if there's any further questions. Here's our contact information. You can email us at bric@freelibrary.org. Here's our phone number. Here is our Twitter handle. This goes to our webpage. And here's the USPTO Trademark Assistance Center, where you can call and ask technical questions. They won't be able to give legal advice, but they can answer questions about trademarks. So I wish you success, and I hope to see you at a future event at the Free Library of Philadelphia. Check out our other BRIC services for nonprofit business and careers. And are there any further questions?
No more questions in the chat.
Okay, great. All right, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Julie, and goodbye for now.